The sun rose over the blocky world. Its light was a beautiful shade of gold. But, something felt wrong today. Steve woke up first. He sat on the edge of his wooden bed and looked around their small shelter. The air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on him. Alex was already awake, standing by the open doorway. She was looking outside with a worried expression on her face. The usual morning cheerfulness was gone. A strange tension filled their small dirt house, making the familiar space feel unfamiliar and dangerous. It was a silence that spoke of trouble waiting just beyond their walls. Steve joined Alex at the door. He gasped at what he saw. Dark, creeping vines of sculk were growing closer to their home. The strange, blue-black growth pulsed with a faint, eerie light. It seemed to be spreading faster than before, consuming the green grass around it. In the distance, the desert had changed. It was no longer a land of yellow sand. Instead, it glowed with a deep red light. Alex pointed towards it. "They call that the Crimson Badlands," she said, her voice low. "I think that is where we need to go. The answers must be there." Steve reached into his pocket and pulled out the strange fragment he had found. It was a piece of dark stone covered in glowing runes. As he held it, the runes seemed to glow a little brighter, as if responding to the red desert. He knew Alex was right. They couldn't just stay here and wait for the sculk to reach them. They needed to be brave and face the danger head-on. It was time for a new adventure, even if it was a scary one. They had to prepare for the long journey ahead of them. They spent the next hour getting ready. They went to their crafting table and furnaces. Steve smelted iron ore to make strong new tools. He crafted a sharp iron sword and a sturdy iron pickaxe. Alex gathered their food supplies. She packed cooked chicken, bread, and a stack of golden apples for emergencies. They filled their inventories with everything they might need. With their new gear equipped and their backpacks full, they stood together, ready to face the unknown. They took one last look at their home before stepping out into the changed world. Their journey began. They walked carefully, giving the new sculk patches a wide berth. As they passed a particularly large patch, Steve felt a sudden chill run down his spine. His vision blurred for a moment. He saw a terrifying image of a giant, shrieking monster made of sculk. It was a frightening vision that made his heart pound in his chest. He shook his head to clear the image, but the feeling of dread remained. The sculk was not just a plant. It was something far more sinister and powerful. He gripped his sword tightly, the cold iron a small comfort against the growing fear. Finally, they reached the edge of the Crimson Badlands. The heat hit them like a blast from a furnace. The sand under their feet glowed with a soft red light. It was beautiful, but also very strange. Strange, twisted cacti dotted the landscape, and the air shimmered with warmth. Embedded in the red sandstone cliffs, they saw veins of a new ore. It was a coppery color and seemed to pulse with an inner heat. Alex pointed her pickaxe at it. "That must be Emberstone," she said. "Let's see what we can make with it." They knew new materials meant new possibilities and maybe new dangers. They began to mine the strange new ore. Their iron pickaxes cut through the rock, freeing chunks of the glowing Emberstone. It was warm to the touch, even after being pulled from the cliffside. Steve, always the crafter, had an idea. He quickly built a crafting table and combined the Emberstone with a stick. In a flash of light, he created a new sword. The blade glowed with a fiery orange light and little sparks danced along its edge. "A fire sword!" he exclaimed. Alex warned him. "It looks powerful, Steve, but it also looks brittle. It might break easily in a tough fight." As they ventured deeper, a new enemy appeared. A creature made of swirling black smoke and red embers rose from the glowing sand. It had no face, only two burning red eyes. The monster, a smoke wraith, drifted silently towards them. It moved without a sound, making it even more creepy. Steve charged forward with his new Emberstone Sword. He swung and the fiery blade connected with the smoky form. The wraith let out a hissing sound and dissolved, leaving behind a small, shimmering shard of solidified smoke. They collected the strange item, wondering what it could be used for. As they continued their trek across the glowing desert, Alex noticed something unusual. Carved into the side of a tall mesa was a strange symbol. It was a simple H shape, etched deep into the red rock. It looked ancient and deliberate. Herobrine's mark, Alex whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. The legend of the ghostly builder was known to all, a tale told to scare new adventurers. Below the mark, hidden by some loose sand, was a dark opening. It was a secret tunnel leading deep into the mesa. They knew it was dangerous, but they also knew they had to follow it. They lit torches and carefully entered the tunnel. The air inside was cool and smelled of dust and old stone. The tunnel opened into a massive underground cavern. In the center stood the ruins of an ancient city. The buildings were made of a stone they had never seen before, and strange, faded patterns covered the walls. It was clearly the work of the old builders, a civilization that had vanished long ago. In the heart of the ruins was a large, complicated machine. It was covered in switches and levers, all leading to a central pedestal with a hollow space. Steve looked at the machine and then at the strange, smoky shard they had collected from the wraith. It looked like it might fit. He approached the pedestal and carefully placed the shard into the hollow space. With a low hum, the ancient machine began to whir to life. Lights flickered along its surface, and gears that had been still for centuries began to turn. A section of the floor in front of the machine slid open with a loud grinding sound. It revealed a hidden compartment containing a single ornate chest. This was what the builders had wanted to protect. With excitement, they opened the chest. Inside, resting on a velvet cushion, was another shard. This one was different. It was a brilliant crystalline blue and seemed to shimmer with teleportation energy. As soon as Steve picked it up, he felt a strange pulling sensation. The world around him dissolved into a swirl of blue particles. Before Alex could react, he vanished completely from the ancient ruin. The shard had activated on its own, teleporting him to an unknown location. Alex was left standing alone in the dusty chamber, staring at the empty space where her friend had just been. Steve reappeared with a jolt. He was in a different part of the ruins, a large, crumbling throne room. But he was not alone. A tall figure stood before him, its form flickering and glitching like a broken image. The figure was stark white, with piercing red eyes. It was Entity 303, a creature of legend, a virus in the world's code. Around it, several skeletons shambled forward. Their bodies were also glitching, their bones seeming to disconnect and reconnect with every step. Entity 303 pointed a finger at Steve, and the glitched skeletons raised their bows, ready to attack. Suddenly, Alex burst into the room, her iron sword drawn. She had followed the faint trail of teleportation particles. "Steve, look out!" she shouted. The battle began. Arrows from the glitched skeletons flew through the air, their paths stuttering and changing course unexpectedly. Steve and Alex fought back to back, a well-practiced team. Steve used his quick reflexes to dodge, while Alex used her shield to block the unpredictable arrows. They were skilled fighters, but these enemies were unlike any they had faced before. The glitching made their movements impossible to predict. They knew they couldn't win a direct fight. They were outnumbered and outmatched. "We have to run!" Alex yelled over the chaos. As they fought their way towards an exit, they noticed the sculk had begun to creep into the ancient ruins through cracks in the ceiling. It was spreading faster now, fueled by the dark energy of Entity 303. Just as they reached a collapsing doorway, Alex's eyes went wide. She saw another vision, this time of a broken, mossy structure hidden deep in a jungle. It was a portal frame, incomplete but powerful. They knew it was their only hope. They managed to escape the ruins in the clutches of Entity 303, running back out into the Crimson Badlands as night began to fall. Exhausted, they quickly placed 2 beds on the red sand to get some rest. But as Alex lay down, the bed exploded in a massive blast of fire and sand. It was a trap, a deadly feature of this strange dimension. Steve reacted instantly, tackling Alex and pushing her out of the blast radius just in time. Shaken but alive, they scrambled back towards the safety of the normal world. They didn't sleep that night, their minds set on their new goal: find that hidden portal frame.